Hello boaters, welcome to Narrowboat Journeys. We're on the Trent and Mersey Canal and I'm just boating into Handsacre, and after that we'll shortly be going through the village of Armitage, and on the other side of that there'll be a very interesting little section of the canal where I go through a kind of a tunnel, and so do stick around to the end because it is quite interesting. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here a bit. Back to Handsacre. Here's some good visitor moorings. Just around the corner there's a pub which is at Bridge 58. There's not much else in Handsacre, to be honest. If you want to stock up for some supplies, there is a little shop in the next village of Armitage. It's not very far away. And there's the pub on the left, right beside the canal. As is fairly typical when you're boating through towns and villages, many of the houses will have boats moored at the end of their gardens. What luxury! If you notice the canal bank on the towpath side, there's some very heavily corrugated steel pilings in. You can moor up against it, but it is quite difficult. It is quite tricky to position fenders so that they work correctly. There's quite a lot of that from now on, I was to discover. So now we've left Handsacre and we're approaching Armitage. And Armitage is very famous for making toilets. You've probably heard of Armitage ware, toilets and sinks and things like that. There's some big factories here on the other side of that railway line. So here we go under the railway bridge, and a fairly grim industrial scene to look at on the other side. Not really my cup of tea. These factories are still in operation today. Now, when I looked at my canal maps, I decided that I would boat as far as Armitage today and then moor up and then travel through Rugeley the next day. But when I got to the designated visitor moorings, I didn't really like the look of them, so I carried on. I thought, well, I'll moor up just after it, but that turned out to be a bit of a mistake, as I will show you in a minute. So just after the factory, the CRT visitor moorings are over there on the left, on the non-towpath side, and there's a little path and a footway which leads you through to the shops. And I didn't fancy stopping there because I didn't want to let the cats out. Really, I should have moored on the towpath side, which would have been all right. But you know, you make these decisions as you go along, and you don't always make the right choice. Now, I really should have moored up here. This would have been quite nice. But no, I stupidly carried on, and then, after this bridge, there was nowhere good to moor, right into the centre of Rugeley, so I had to carry on. So this trip turned into a real long one, you know, because this was a deep cutting, quite pretty but not ideal for mooring. And just after that, the towpath turns to that heavy corrugated metal again, and concrete, which means you can't get any spikes in, and this continues on for a very long way. However, there are visitor moorings here on the left for that pub, but you've got to go to the pub if you stop there, so that's not really my scene. So carry on I did. This is why I often scout ahead when I'm boating. I'll cycle down the towpath on my bike, and because I'm quite particular about where I stop. Of course I didn't do that on this trip, so I ended up boating a lot further than I planned to. This is where the canal gets interesting between Armitage and Rugeley. The canal gets very, very narrow, and there's only room for one boat to go through, and this narrow section is quite long. There is a sign beside the canal that tells you to send one of your crew members up ahead to see if there's any other boats coming the other way. But of course, if you're boating on your own, you can't do that. Luckily, I did have a boat in front of me. He was quite a way ahead of me, and I wasn't sure if he'd seen me coming behind him, but hopefully he would let other boats know that I was behind him. So this is more of a long bridge than a tunnel really, but the narrow section through the rock does continue quite a way beyond the actual bridge. I wouldn't want to come in here at night. I couldn't see any lights. All the while when I was boating through here, I was thinking, will I meet another boat coming the other way, because there's no way to pass, so one of us would have had to reverse. I'm pretty sure that tempers flare a bit in the summer when this is busy, because it must be really quite difficult to actually get through here without meeting another boat. I'm showing the whole of this section in real time without any edits, so you can get an idea of how long this stretch is. It takes about 4 minutes to go through. So under the bridge and the narrow channel continues. In the distance there you can see the boat that was ahead of me. There is a boat waiting to come through, so that boat ahead of me must have seen me and knew that I was behind him and would have told them to hang on a bit, so that was good. Anyway, in the next video I will show you the trip through Rugeley, because I couldn't stop here because this concrete channeling carries on all the way through and there was nowhere to moor up, so I had to keep on going. So please click the like button if you like this video, and don't forget to subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video when our journey through Rugeley will continue. So thanks for watching, see you next time.